The SPSA will provide an update on the flooding that is impacting in northern communities. Feel free to record, cut clips, and quote today's call as needed. I would also like to note that we are recording this call as well, and it will be available later online this afternoon. I would also ask that media that are in attendance, please be sure to have your microphones muted. Joining us today are the Honorable Michael Uyghur, Minister responsible for the SPSA, the Honorable Kim Gardner, Ministry of Highways, Steve Roberts, the SPSA Acting President, Patrick Boyle, Executive Director, Communications and Client Services for the Saskatchewan Water Security Agency, Leah Clark, the Executive Director, Irrigation and Economic Development, Sask Water Security Agency, Dan Palmer, Senior Communications Consultant for the Ministry of Highways. After an update from the SPSA, then Minister Uyghur, Minister Gardner, and Leah Clark will provide remarks. After that, members of the media will have the opportunity to ask one question and one follow-up. Please be advised that this technical briefing has a hard stop at 1 p.m. Now, for the update on behalf of the Saskatchewan Public Safety Agency regarding the flooding across Saskatchewan. The details mentioned in this are as of 10 a.m. this morning. In the RM of Aberdeen, a local emergency was declared on April 22nd. There are no changes in flooding status, and the emergency services officer remains in the community. At Beardy's in Okemos Cree Nation, conditions are stable and equipment is being picked up as it is no longer needed. In the village of Buchanan, flooding is currently under control, and in the village of Canwood, water levels remain manageable at this time. In the town of Foam Lake, a local emergency was declared on April 21st. Water has now receded and the situation has stabilized. However, warmer weather may bring a second wave of flooding, so the community continues to monitor conditions closely. In the RM of Invergordon, emergency declared on April 24th remains in effect. In the RM of Meadow Lake, the local emergency declared on April 21st and extended on April 27th remains in place. As of late last night, only one area of concern remains, and the overall water levels are manageable. The emergency services officer will continue regular communication with the community representatives in case conditions change. In the RM of St. Louis, the declaration of local emergency was resubmitted on April 30th. Water levels remain manageable at this time. Several communities have recently declared local emergencies due to washed out roads. This includes the RM of Lakeside, the RM of Pleasantdale, and the RM of Birch Hills, all effective May 1. These areas continue to deal with washed out roads and closures, and Birch Hills is also experiencing ongoing overland flooding. The RM of Shelbrook declared an emergency on May 2nd. Some roads have been washed out, but the community is not requesting assistance at this time. The town of Arborfield also declared an emergency on May 2nd. Sandbagging efforts are underway surrounding the RM of Arborfield. Several roads have washed out, but no assistance is required at this time. The RM of Lake Lenore and the RM of Lakeview both declared emergencies on May 2nd as well. Each community is reporting washed out roads and closures. Across all affected areas, ESOs are maintaining communications with local officials, and communities continue monitoring the conditions closely. The agency will continue to provide updates as the situation evolves. Now I would like to pass it on to Minister Uyghur for his remarks.
Good afternoon, everyone that's able to join us. I thank you for being on this call today. I want to begin by recognizing the stress and uncertainty that flooding brings to individuals, families, and entire communities. Our government's priority is to make sure communities do not face these challenges alone. When a community is affected by flooding, they are responsible for enacting their emergency plans, When the impact of flooding events becomes too much to handle, local officials can contact our emergency services officers. These emergency professionals will assist them with their needs. An SPSA emergency services officer can assist the community by coordinating practical on-the-ground resources. This can include sandbags, water pumps, flood barriers, other flood mitigation equipment, and even personnel. Community administrators and emergency management coordinators can contact an emergency services officer by calling 1-800-667-9660. That's 1-800-667-9660. Communication is critical during flood events. The SPSA stays in close contact with community leaders through phone calls, situation reports, and on-site support when necessary. Accurate, timely information allows everyone to make better decisions and respond more effectively. As waters do recede, the SPSA will remain engaged. Recovery does not end when the immediate danger passes. We continue to work with communities into the recovery phase. In closing, I want to reassure communities affected by flooding that there is help available. And I also want to thank all of the emergency services officers and individuals in those communities affected by flooding that are working sometimes day and night to assist with this situation. Thank you all and stay safe.
Thank you, Minister Uyghur. Now I will pass it over to Minister Gardner.
Thank you, and good afternoon to everyone. I'd like to begin by expressing my appreciation to all of our highway teams and road crews who have been out all weekend, assessing road damages, repairing roadways, and ensuring culverts are open. They're providing safety and accessibility for all those traveling on our provincial highways and roadways as we experience above average spring runoff this year. The Ministry of Highways is taking proactive measures to address current potential flooding risks as we continue to closely monitor problematic areas, as well as changing conditions across the province. I'd like to encourage everyone to check the highway hotline before heading out. Let's make sure everyone's traveling safely. Highways is taking a proactive measure in this as much as we possibly can, and officials are going to be on the line here today to answer any specific questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you for your remarks, Minister Gardner. And now I'll turn it over to Leah Clark of the WSA.
Thank you. First, I'd like to acknowledge Minister Merritt, who's on the call today. He's the minister responsible for Water Security Agency and here to support questions, but I'll start with a general Water Security Agency update. So we've experienced a late rapid thaw and higher than average snowpack combined with late spring snowstorms, and it's creating significant runoff in northwestern and northeastern Saskatchewan. Water Security Agency's April spring runoff outlook identified the east central and northeast regions as having above to well above normal runoff potential. Since April 18th, WSA has issued 4 advisories on high flows and ice jamming. Over the weekend, high flows were observed in the northern portions of the Quill Lakes Basin, the headwaters of the Carrot River, and parts of the Assiniboine River Basin. These elevated flows are associated with significant snow accumulation and recent warm temperatures that have resulted in rapid melting across portions of the basin. The high flow advisory issued in late April remains in effect for a large area extending over northwestern Saskatchewan near Buffalo Narrows down to southeastern area near Yorkton. Flows on the Carrot River near Canistano, Armley, Smoky Burn, and Turnberry continue to rise, with further increases expected. Current inflows in the system range from approximately a 1 in 25 year event near Smoky Burn to a 1 in 200 year event near Armley. This indicates significant flood magnitude, with peak flows anticipated within the next 4 to 6 days. In the Quill Lakes Basin, flows on the northern tributaries have increased rapidly and are at or near peak, while southern tributaries continue to recede. Preliminary analysis indicates the basin is experiencing at least a 1 in 50-year flow event, reflecting widespread and above normal runoff conditions. Along with the high flow advisories, Water Security Agency has made well over 1,000 proactive calls, emails, and phone calls with local communities. We have daily updates available on our website.
Thank you, Leah. So now we will open up to questions from the media. Please use the raised hand function. To indicate you have a question, you will then be recognized, and when it is your turn. I would like to remind you to turn on your microphone and your camera when asking your question, and then to turn your camera and microphone off when you're finished. I would also ask that all media members, please, before their question, identify themselves and the media outlet in which they are represented. If there are any additional questions after this briefing, please send them to the SPSA's communication unit inbox, which is media.spa@gov.sk.ca. This is the SPA's main contact for all media. If there are any questions for the SPSA after today, that is the email that should be used. All right, so let's start our questions. Number one, Sabrina, please. Go ahead, Sabrina.
Hello?
Yes, we
Hi,
go
can you
ahead.
hear me? Yeah, perfect.
Yep.
So, Sabrina Larouche, I'm a journalist for Radio-Canada Film Services, FCBC. So my question is, as of yesterday, 19 people were still stuck near the RM of Invergordon, and the reeve of that municipality said that he was in contact with you. And what's the current situation right now? Have those 19 people have been evacuated right now or not?
That is an evacuation question.
Yes.
Steve. Yes. Okay. It was a little difficult to see you. Tyler, would you be able to handle that for us, please?
Yeah, I can speak to that. So in the RM of Invergordon, we did have an emergency services officer out on site yesterday working with the community. There's a number of people that were self-sufficient and able to maintain resident in their house, but there was a number of people that were removed from the community with a secondary access road that was created for the evacuation.
Sabrina, do you have a follow-up question?
Yeah, I think I do. There's like some parts of Saskatchewan, like in the northwest, including, for example, the English River First Nation, that are currently cut off from the outside world due to the flooding right now. What specific support are you providing to this community specifically, and how are you organizing like aid on the ground?
Again, Tyler, is that something you could speak to?
Yeah, I can speak to it again. So Patchnak and English River, again, we do have an emergency services officer in constant contact with the community officials, as well as we do have an ESO on the ground in Patchnak right now. In terms of coordinating supplies, again, we're communicating with the local authorities to ensure that they do have everything that they need. And if they don't, then we can work with them and figure out a way on how to get it to them. But we haven't had to do that at this time.
All right. Thank you, Sabrina. Next in line would be Christopher.
Yeah, hi, Chris Van den Breekel with Global News. First request, you guys don't need to give a verbal answer, but given that this started late, if we can go an extra 5 minutes, that'd be fantastic. Question is for Tyler. How many people province-wide are on evacuation right now? Is it just those, that group in Invergordon, or is there more? And could you say where?
I don't have the exact numbers of how many people, but I know with the SPSA, we have not received a request to support anybody at this time. Everybody else is being supported at the local level or by themselves.
Okay, excellent. Follow-up question. I've spoken with one landowner today that they're completely cut off with water on either side. The water is continuing to rise. This is in the arm of Buckland, and we know that there are some other landowners in similar situations. Is there a plan in terms of getting supply to these people where their home itself is safe, but they can't get out due to washouts?
Yeah, so or residents can contact their local authorities, who will then work on getting them the supplies they need and the help they need. And if the local authority needs assistance with that, they can contact the emergency services officer to help them with that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Haley.
Hi, this is Hallie from CTV.
Oh.
I was just looking if you could provide more information regarding the impacts to highways across the province. Is there a number in terms of how many roads have been impacted by this flood damage?
I'll pass that along to the Ministry of Highways.
So thanks for the question. I don't have a specific number off the top of my head, but if you just look at the highway hotline, you'll see that there are several locations picking up where the Water Security Agency said there was high flows across the province. There are either closures or there's water on the top of the highway, and folks are advised to be cautious and alert in that specific area. But if you do want a sense of some of the closures or the effect of the flooding, the hotline actually has a text report. You can actually see a list there that gives a pretty good synopsis. But there's several across sort of the east central and northern parts of the province. There's quite a few.
Thank you. And did you have any general advice you wanted to get out there to drivers, especially those who are traveling at nighttime?
You know, we say it a lot, but we'll say it again. Check the highway hotline before you head it out. Know before you go. Check the route. And once you get to your location, check it again, because as we're seeing, conditions, flooding situations are changing rapidly. So you may have got to your destination. Check it again before you return. And drive to current road conditions. Be cautious and be alert. Please obey my teammates out there who may be flagging or stopping traffic. We want everyone to get home safely. So again, check that hotline before you head out. Check it again before you return to plan your route accordingly.
Thank you.
Thanks, Holly. Let's go to Jeremy, please.
Hello, Jeremy Symes here with the Canadian Press. Just a clarification question just about the evacuations or potential evacuations. Are there certain communities where evacuations are happening, but it is being supported by the local communities? And if so, what are those communities?
Tyler, would you handle this, please?
Yeah, so there have been a number of communities that have been handling it at the local level, but at this time, I don't have that number or a list for you.
Okay, and just in terms of numbers, I know you said you don't have numbers either, but do you have the number of people that were removed from that one community that was mentioned earlier? And it's Invergordon. I know the SPSA helped with that. Do you have a number that was removed there?
Yeah, so there was 22 people that were in the community. 15 of them have decided to stay back, and we did help with 7 people leaving the community, but that was only on the logistics of getting them out of the community. Outside of that, they are self-sufficient.
Okay, thank you.
We'll next go to Stacy.
Hi, Stacy Hine with CTV News here. My question is for Leah Clark with the WSA. We heard there was a fuel spill in the South Saskatchewan River near Medicine Hat. We're just wondering how the WSA is responding to this.
Yeah, thanks for your question. So at 11 p.m. on April 30th, Water Security Agency was made aware of a spill of about 800 liters of fuel in Medicine Hat. And that report was made by Alberta Environment and Protected Areas to our provincial spill line. From there, we had people work on it and determine that given the quantities of the spill and the volumes in the river, it was determined to be no risk to human health by the time it would get to the Saskatchewan border. However, in an abundance of caution, we notified communities and RMs along the river system proactively so that they could make their own informed decisions on how to manage their systems and intakes.
And do you know when, I understand it's supposed to reach Lake Diefenbaker. Do you know when that fuel plume will reach Lake Diefenbaker?
For water to leave Medicine Hat to Lake Diefenbaker, I believe it's in the range of 4 to 7, 8 days,
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
depending on flows.
Next will be Jeremy.
Hello, Jeremy Warren from CBC News in Saskatoon. First question, I think you mentioned the peak flows in the Carrot River happening in 4 to 6 days, but when, generally speaking, will this flooding in Saskatchewan start receding, and how will that happen?
If you could handle that, please.
Of course. So Saskatchewan is a big, diverse province, and it's really hard to generalize like local and regional impacts. But what I can say is we're seeing that runoff go more north, right? So as the temperatures warm, and so we'll continue to kind of see that. I don't have a specific date just because Saskatchewan is that a big and diverse province.
Yeah, sorry, this isn't my follow-up, but just to clarify on that, like I guess I wasn't looking for a specific day, but generally, like, are we looking at a week-long event here that people will be on guard for, or if that's possible to answer, I don't know.
Yeah, right now, we continue to monitor weather, runoff, snow depth, and we have those updates going up on our website daily, but it's pretty hard to pinpoint an exact date.
Sure, no problem. Thank you. And then follow up to this. I know this will sound a little crazy, but is there any talk of fire ban happening? We got a call from an RM that's RM Vanscoy, I believe, that is talking about putting in a fire ban because of dry conditions out there. So it seems like it's a varied conditions across the province that you're dealing with. But yeah, on that fire ban, any discussions about that?
So I can respond to that. Steve Roberts, Vice President of Operations for the Public Safety Agency. Currently, we have no provincial fire bans. Local municipalities can impose their own fire bans, and we typically see that in southern Saskatchewan if their grass conditions are like that. With the high winds we've been experiencing, they will have some drier fuels in local areas. The other issue is, to date, we have only seen 4 fires in the province, and they are all in the southern half of the forest, and currently none are actively burning.
Thank you, Steve. Next, we'll go to Christopher Carr.
Hey, thanks for doing this today. Global News Saskatoon. A quick question around Humboldt area. I'm hoping to provide information specifically around the Wolverine Creek area, where the mayor of Humboldt had expressed concerns over the weekend that there could be washouts there and potential access cut off. Sounds like it has improved over the last 48 hours, but wondering if you have an update for that specifically, and then into the Watson area as well, please.
Another one for you, Leah.
Yeah, so for both of those areas, we know that they've reached peak flows and they are receding. So we're dealing with the impacts that are there now.
Okay, thank you.
And next, we'll move on to Susan.
I don't have a camera on my computer, so you'll just have to listen to me, I guess. I'm just wondering if there's been any injuries reported. I've seen a couple photos of vehicles, like one that was washed into a ditch and another one that is in the middle of what used to be a road, down maybe like the height of the truck is below the level of the road. So have you heard of any injuries reported in any of this stuff?
Tyler, if you could take that, please.
We haven't received any reports of any injuries that have occurred because of the flooding.
Okay. And so then my follow-up question is, some of these incidents are happening in kind of really remote areas where people may or may not have cell phone or internet service. So do you guys have any recommendations as to where people can get updates like that are timely as far as their local safety situation goes?
Again, Tyler, would you mind taking a run at that for us, please?
And I would suggest for people, again, make contact with their local authority and figure out the best way they can get their information there. They're going to get the most timely information from the local people who are in charge of the area, such as the RM or the community.
Okay, thank you.
Just a heads up to our media friends here. We have reached 1 o'clock, but we'll try and maybe add a few more minutes just so some of you can get your initial questions in. So we'll now go on to Kiera, please. Kiera, sorry. Kiera, are you there? Kiera Miller? Okay, so then we'll move on to
Kira's
Jeff
question
Smith.
is in the chat,
Oh,
Jeff.
oh, she's in the chat. Okay, well, let's have a look. Her question is, do you have an update on the 7 houses that were threatened by water levels near Meadow Lake? Did they have to evacuate? Tyler, could you answer that, please?
From what I've heard so far, they didn't have to evacuate. I haven't had an update on what the water level is doing up there in the last little bit, but from what I understand, no, they did not have to evacuate at this time.
And her follow-up question is, are the cooler temperatures we're seeing now going to slow the melt enough for communities to play catch up? Or how does the short-term forecast look in terms of additional flooding?
I can take that, Jeff. So we are seeing that in the future, those overnight lows are dipping below 0, and that will help slow down flows. But once water's moving and this late in the spring, we anticipate that it will continue to move. So we've got to work with that in mind.
Thank you. We also have another question in the chat from our John from the Daily Herald. For residents in places like the RM of Buckland who have suffered spring flooding damage or had to purchase supplies to protect their property, what SPSA or provincial programs are available to them? Steve, would you mind taking that?
Sure, I can do that. Of course, check your own household insurance and see what coverage it might be available there. In the event that there is damage and excessive damage, there is a program, the Provincial Disaster Assistance Program may be able to help if you meet their criteria. So there is a portal and it's on our website if you'd like to access that program.
Thank you, Steve. And now we'll go to Jeff Smith, please.
Hi, Jeff Smith, CJME, CKOM. Do we have a handle on, I guess, how many highways are going to need, I guess, like have major damage and need major repairs once the waters recede?
We don't have a specific number, but there is quite a number of highways, if you look on the hotline, that are either flooded or have water over top of the road. So we'll make that assessment as the water recedes and go from there. In some cases, though, there are temporary repairs are made to ensure access, and permanent repairs are often made later. But we'll have a better sense of things once we get through this particular event and things dry out.
Do you have a follow-up?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, that's good. One and out. We have time for maybe one, maybe two quick ones. Christopher Vanderbrico.
Yeah, Chris with Global News here. In terms of highways, I know you don't have costs or anything like that yet, but is there any sort of planning that can be done to mitigate this kind of issue in the future? Like, are you seeing where the flooding patterns are, and maybe there's improvements that can be made in those areas to prevent future washouts?
So that's something the ministry takes into account through its planning cycle, whether it's maintenance activities or capital. It will assess, and if there's opportunities to improve certain areas with greater culvert capacity or those types of things, it's part of its regular planning and regular course of business. So it's something we do regularly. And I don't know if there was anybody else here who wanted to respond. I thought I saw someone pop on here for a quick second here, but maybe I was mistaken.
Sure, I can give another response here. Our program, the Public Safety Agency, does work with communities to reassess their emergency plan on an ongoing basis. And one of the things to do in the reassessment is to look at incidents that have occurred and talk about ways that your plan could be better enhanced. And it may be a local road, it may be a local support network, it may be a local communication network, but we will do a continuous improvement exercise with the communities as they experience an event, whether that wildfire, flood, or any other, and looking at ways we can improve their plan to support their local residents.
Okay,
awesome. I don't need a follow-up, so.
Yeah, thank you. And this will be our last question for the afternoon. Jeremy Symes, please.
Hi, thank you. Have we seen reports of damages to homes, other properties, things like that at this point with all the flooding?
Tyler, was that something you could address for us, please?
I guess to answer the question, no, we really haven't seen anything come to our level about how many homes have been impacted. Again, that's at the local level, and if they do need the assistance, they can call us.
Okay, thank you. And just how many states of emergency are in effect right now, if you have an idea, the number of that?
Currently at this time, I believe we have 15 that are active, with possibility of more coming in later today.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, everyone. That ends the technical briefing for today.